Alright, so this video is going to be in depth of how to really kind of approach master difficulty, how to beat it in F-Zero X, and kind of give you some tips for F-Zero GX as well. Now, F-Zero X is probably one of the greatest racing games of all time. The whole F-Zero series as a whole is a great series. But one of the biggest issues that people have always had is just like how hardcore difficult it is. Like, you're talking about like a series that, like, maybe the first 3 difficulties aren't that bad, but they jump up in difficulty. And then you get to master difficulty, and it's, you know, like it implies, you gotta be a master of the game, but even Nintendo's sort of gimmicks sort of kind of hold it back a little bit, because, you know, like, in F-Zero X, like, the problem is you have to keep constant speed going. If you lose it, like, even one time, could actually cost you, like, 3 or 4 seconds, which kind of took me a while to figure out, like, how the heck that happens, but, and I mean, you're not using sliders, or, which is another tactic in the game, you know, sliding, or just aerodynamic losing, because the idea is that you don't want to turn too hard, but it's mostly kind of, it's based off, like, the controller that you're using. So, for example, you know, F-Zero X was released for the GameCube, or the N64, and then F-Zero GX was released for the GameCube, and then you use a GameCube controller. So, okay. So, it makes sense that, at least in this case, you know, if you're going to play F-Zero X, it's a good idea to try and figure out how to tone down the sensitivity, so that way you don't have these aerodynamic speed problems. Because believe it or not, you could be going like 1,300 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden it just drastically drops to 700, because, like, in a second and a half, because the game, you were turning too hard. But the problem is, though, you don't know when this is going to happen, though. So, you have to figure out how to get around this, somehow. So, what you want to do is, if you're playing this on an emulator and you're using, like, some sort of, you know, figure out how to adjust the sensitivity settings, or better yet, use an N64 controller for F-Zero X, because if you don't already know this, the analog sticks for the N64 are nowhere near as sensitive as like a PS2, a PS1, a PS1 controller that actually had analog sticks. I know the earlier ones didn't, but there were ones that did. And then there was PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Classic controllers even had the same issue. But, you know, you want to use a controller that's not going to do these things, because this is literally, I mean, again, you know, at least in this case, I mean, it is possible to beat it with a sensitive controller, but definitely use a, you know, an N64 controller for N64 games, or find some way to tone down the sensitivity. But again, like I said, if you're gonna, you might as well just get, like, I mean, you could even get them off Amazon. Even a third-party one will do. Just to beat master difficulty would, you know, for $5, can't go wrong there. I'll give you another example. If you're playing, let's say you're playing F-Zero X for the, or not F-Zero X, but GX as well. You know, another issue, you use a GameCube controller, you know, and then you just master the track. Same thing with F-Zero X. You know, play the time trials, figure out, you know, how to take sharp turns, figure out, like, how to take advantage of the AI if you're racing with computers. Figure out, you know, don't let them hit you, but take sharp corners. There's another attack you can use. I'm not sure about GX, like what they call it in GX, but it's essentially like what is known as a slide attack, where, like, your characters go sliding from left to right, or right to left, depending on vice versa. And what you do is you tap, like, the shoulder button, like, really fast, like twice, and then your character's like it kind of cuts down speed a little bit, but it's better than just, like, holding down the button and or at least that's how it is in F-Zero X. You don't want to do that, because you'll lose a lot of speed. And again, master difficulty is like, you know, like, the AI knows how to take sharp turns, because, you know, the game's difficulty, you know, the computer is built on different, it's based on a different RNG system than that of, like, what the player uses. So, like, for example, you know, when you take sharp turns, you don't see the AI, like, taking, you know, like, you'll see the AI, like, make sharp turns, and they're still going fast, and they don't drop in difficulty, you know what I mean? So, I mean, it's still possible to be. I mean, again, there's people on YouTube that have already done it. Another thing you could do is watch videos on YouTube, you know. there's people that could definitely give you some tips. Talk to somebody that already knows how to do it. I'm sure they could explain it better than I could. If you want even more tips. But some levels are actually easier than others. But at the same time, it's just about like figuring out how to keep the speed going and not sliding with the non-slider. Again, not to get confused with the actual advanced tactic sliding. But like if you push too hard, then you'll start to slide and you'll lose all the speed. So. Unless of course you're trying to slide, then it would be a good idea to slide. But if you're not trying to slide, avoid it. Avoid it at all costs. And it usually happens depending on the grip of the vehicle, but it should be possible that even if you press the A button really, really fast and all that, you should be able to do it. You just have to find a way to, it's what is known as not brake tapping, but acceleration tapping. So, you hold down like the A button and tap, 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 tap. And then, like you let go of it, but you have to like, it's weird, like you because again, this is why you don't use a sensitive controller, because like, you have to be able to hold down the gas, but like slowly turn, and it's possible to do this. You just have to kind of get a feel for it. But like what you're trying to do is you want to, like if you do start to slide just a little too much, the way I look at it, I think it's like the faster, okay, it's like there's a formula that the game follows. Like it depends on like what angles you'll start to slide at. It's based on what category your vehicle's in. Like, so depending on the weight of the class, for example, and then depending on how fast you're going, it's like, then there's a better chance that, so like, for example, if you have better grip, your car can go like really, really fast before it starts to slide. So, like, for example, I think the average I've ever seen was over 1,000 miles. And you gotta go like 1,300 on average in order to beat, like, or just even catch up to first place in some cases. But if you can do that, then believe me, you're good. You'll beat this in no time if you can keep that going. But like what I was saying though is, so like when you're racing, if you have a sensitive controller, you'll easily screw that up, because like you'll be you'll be accelerating tapping with gas tapping with the right controller or the right hand, and your left hand's like on the joystick. But it's like, but if it's not sensitive, then you can still coast, like it's like a drift turn sort of, and like you won't have to accelerate at the same time very, very fast, or you don't have to tap so much. You can just kind of hold it down and still keep going, and it will work. But again, like I said, an N64 controller is key for this, because it's nowhere near as sensitive as like a PS2, a PS3, a PS4. I mean, again, there's people that make cheap ones. I mean, not like cheap like they break real easily, but like cheap, like like people who manufacture these, and they just don't have the Nintendo brand on it. But even if you had like a Nintendo N64 controller, if you're not playing this on an actual N64, what you could do is just take the game itself and then go and go get like some sort of a USB converter where you plug that into your controller, that into your USB for your computer, and there you go. You set up the controller, and there you go. You could still use, even if a joystick was sort of bent a little bit, you'd be surprised that even a loose joystick could still do you well, and you could beat F-Zero X like on master difficulty with it. It's difficult, but with that PS2 control, without a PS2 controller, and with an actual N64 controller, that will definitely do you good. Because at least in this case, it matters. Most games I can easily say it doesn't, but you'll be hard pressed to find out that you'll have to do a lot of research into like how to beat master difficulty without having too much of an issue. So that's always a good idea too. I mean, I've done it like 5 times. I mean, it is possible with a sensitive controller, but good luck though. But that's with many hours included as well. I mean, if it wasn't for the fact I love this game, I mean, I play other games too, but you'd be surprised that some of these games are like, I mean, this is easily probably the hardest series that Nintendo has ever made. I mean, it's weird. Nintendo makes easy games in general, but like when you play F-Zero though, completely different story. It's without saying that, that the game itself speaks for itself. Like, the game itself is really hard, and but possible, though. Definitely possible. But most people have never beat it on master difficulty. It's literally that ridiculous. No, I know people just gave up when they played F-Zero X and GX, but it's definitely possible to beat it though. So hopefully, this video kind of gives you an idea of like what to do. I mean, there's other tactics too, but and like I said, it's possible to beat this with any character. Any character in F-Zero X's, or even GX, or the original Super Nintendo version, or just any master difficulty in general. You just have to play the game, figure it out, and then figure out what to do. Figure out how to get like the fastest times, and get everybody to stay the hell out of your way and stuff like that. Take your opponents out, it's another way, like knocking them out. But don't waste too much time doing that. Only really worry about it until you get to first place or somewhere close to that, and then just anybody that gets in your way, just kind of knock them back and just keep them away. Because again, as long as they don't win, you'll win. So that's how that works. But hopefully this kind of explains a little bit better. F-Zero X, GX, the story mode is possible, and the master difficulty is possible. And the reason we know this is because people have done it. And there's just a lot of hidden tactics that you really have to learn to really, not just, you can just beat it with just skill, you don't have to just get luckier. You don't have to be what is known as a jumper, you don't have to be what is known as a slider. You can just be really good at boosting, very good at taking sharp turns, and finding a way to just keep that constant speed going without sliding when you shouldn't have to, especially with the non-slider. And you should beat it very fine, Again, if you have any trouble, just ask me, or you could just watch some of my videos, just kind of give you an idea. You could also talk to the people that actually speedrun this game. They'll give you some ideas.